Good evening, everyone. This is going to be a video on Scythians. Again, Scythians, because I want to prove that Scythians are a Turanian culture. They're not Iranian. I'm going to read you something from Wikipedia. And this is actually the root where the Scythians derived from. So it all started in Tuva. Tuva is in Russia. So it says here, I'm going to read to you and then I'm going to tell you my thoughts. I'm going to make my own conclusions because this is the reading. I'm not inventing it. And then I want to, and I'm going to compare it with the map of so-called Sumerian and the map where there is the Fertile Crescent. So, and how it all started here in the Yenisei River, and from there it spread all over to Iran. So the roots go back to Turan, not Iran, right? So, now, it says here, arzhan, this is the culture. And I want to mention, of course, that these names are all Turkish names. They are not Proto-Turkic, they are Turkish names. Now, if you have a look at the map, we have around Arzhan, we have the slab grave culture, which is in East Asia. We have Karasuk culture, which is a Turkish culture. We have the Mezovskaya culture, probably also ancient Turkic. The Cimmerians, which are also claimed to be of Turkic culture. The Iranian pastoral people, okay, we can include that. But Iranian pastoral people are way farther than the Tarim mummies and the slab grave culture and the Karasuk culture. So it all goes back to East Asia. And from East Asia, we have the Karasuk culture, the Tarim mummies, which are all Proto-Turkic. We have then West Asia and the Iranian pastoral people. So it goes from the east to the west. Okay, so these are all. Arzhan is a Turkish name, and I'm going to mention other Turkish names. But first, let me read. Arzhan is a site of early Saka Kurgan burials in the Tuva Republic, Russia. Now, you remember my last video on the Scythians and where it all started. And the Turkish historian mentioned Tuva. Do you remember? Now we have here the Tuva Republic, Russia. So I found it on the map. I just researched it it was coincidence because I wanted to prove that Scythia has more to do with Turkey than with Iran and with Anatolia. Now, originally. Okay, let me read. Arzhan is a site of early Saka Kurgan burials in the Tuva Republic, Russia, some 60 kilometers northwest of Kızıl. Kızıl is a Turkish name. It's probably a river. It is on a high plateau traversed by the Uyuk River. So Uyuk River. Now Uyuk River, I know from my research that ancient Turks gave the name where they left to the new places they went. So the Uyuk River, imagine. So it is now proven, because Andrew Collins said that the ancient Anatolians mixed together with the indigenous Anatolian mixed together with the Siberians. So here we have Siberia, and here we have Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and the Scythians land, homeland. So this was the homeland of the Scythians, Arzhan, right? And so if you consider the Uyuk River, Uyuk is very close to Uruk, the city, which is in the Fertile Crescent. So they went from here to the Fertile Crescent, the Holy Land. Now, which of course is very holy for all the area that lives there. Now, it's very sad that we don't have these lands anymore. It used to be Ottoman, but very sad that we don't have it anymore. Such a precious area. So the Uyuk River is very close to, the name of Uyuk is very close to Uruk, right? And I want to draw you to the connection. It has a connection with Uyuk. So Uyuk, Uruk is the same name, the same place, from the same people. So a minor tributary of the Yenisei River. So Yenisei River is actually the place where our ancestors went to Anatolia, in the region of Tuva, or maybe Troy, which is called Truva, is also a sister name for this region. So Tuva, Truva, it is not coincidence. So I strongly think that Truva was also inhabited by the Scythians. So 20 kilometers to the north of the city of Turan. So there is also a city called Turan in this region. So Turan is not coincidence. Our ancestors defended Turan. So we are Turanians. And on my research, I touched on Turan must have made wars with Iran. So in Iran, the Turanids and the Iranids, they warred. So there must have been a fight going on, because the original inhabitants of Iran and that area was the ancient Turks. It was the Scythians' land. It was the Turan. So, and of course, what happened? The leader of the, or for some reason, the Iran, what was there? the Iranis or the Iranians, they took over the Turan land. So they got more, how can I say, they didn't occupy, but they were more dominant on the area. So it says here, the Arzhan culture is considered as forming the initial Scythian period, so 8th and 7th century BC. So the Scythians are actually the original ancestors of that period, and from there they went to, like their ancestors did, they went to Iran, because they went west, and they also went towards Northern Europe. So they took two roads. As I said, they always take the same roads. Our ancestors, our genes take us to the same routes that you have taken in the past. You follow your ancestors' voice. So, and precedes the Pazyryk culture. So the Pazyryk culture is Turkish, that's for sure. It is Proto-Turkic. The remains of Arzhan are among the earliest of all known Scythian cultures, which has led to suggestions that it is the origin of the Scythian animal style. It is the first stage of the Saka-Uyuk culture. So the Sakas, undisputably, it all started with Turan and later turned into Iran. So the culture was Turanian, it turned into Iranian. That's the truth. But it didn't start with the Iranians. They cannot claim that they. Well, I have to tell the truth here. They don't tell the truth, and the whole world knows it as the Iranian culture. Maybe they developed it, okay, but I think they stole the whole script, the whole alphabets. Okay. I won't get into that kind of thing. Let me be positive, and let's think that the Scythians stayed somewhere in Turkmenistan, the area of Turkmenistan, Central Asia. They came until Central Asia. And from there, the cuneiform tablets probably changed. They changed style. So I'm very positive. And towards West Asia, it all okay, it turned into a different style of a language, probably, and a different kind of name, namely Sumer. But Sumer was actually Scythian language. And most probably it was a very close language to the Sanskrit, or what they say, because it was an agglutinative language, because Arzhan and the Turkish names here in this map was spoken at those times. So a kind of Turkish language was spoken those times, because they are all Turkish names, and Turkish is not that new. It must have been at least 3,000 years old by the time they inhabited those lands. And from there, uh, it has most probably to do with the tablets, and from there they inhabited those areas in Anatolia. Okay, let's say it has nothing to do with the tablets, but at least accept the fact that Scythians' homeland is the area of the Karasuk culture. So it all started from there. The Tarim mummies have something to do, I think, with the Scythians, because that's what I thought when I first saw them, when I first saw the mummies. And I have to tell you, everything is not coincidence. I remember my granddad, and my granddad had the very similar trousers to the person that wore the trousers in the um, in the mummies that were found um, in the Tarim Basin. So you remember the long-legged mummy who was thought to be European, but it turns out that it is actually very, very, very close to Siberia. Yes, so it is in Siberia, but I'm not sure which territory it is. Is it now Kazakhstan or Mongolia? I'm not sure of that. I don't think it's Mongolia, because uh, it must be somewhere in Kazakhstan. I'm not that sure. Anyway, let me continue reading. So Uyuk is very similar to Uruk, right? So and the Pazyryk culture is Turkish, ancient Turkish. Now it goes on. It says here the Arzhan kurgans. The excavations showed burials with rich grave goods, including horses and gold artifacts. There are several hundred kurgans arranged in parallel chains. I wish we were allowed, or people were allowed, to look into the kurgans in Anatolia. I have heard that lots of kurgans are thought to be in Anatolia, but they wouldn't have the permission, I think, to be dug up or something like that. I know the reason. I won't tell it here, and I don't care actually. But I think the truth must be spoken out. The truth has to be told. And if nobody talks about the truth, people will continue running after false assumptions, and people will be told the wrong history, and it will be written in textbooks, which is not true, and this will be misbelief, and it's a shame that people won't be told the truth. So Arzhan, it says here, in the 8th and 9th centuries BCE, it was excavated by M.P. Grazianov in the 1970s, establishing the origins of Scythian culture in the region in the 10th to the 8th centuries BCE. Arzhan was carbon dated to circa 800 BCE. Further excavations were conducted in 1997 and in 1998, 2003. Arzhan 2. Many of the styles of the artifacts found in Arzhan 1, such as the animal style images of deer, boar, and panther. Now, think of think of the animal styles. Deer. Okay, deer is the symbol of Anatolia. Boar is a common Turkic symbol, also of the Turks. Panther is Pars, and it is Persia. I think it is the symbol of Persia and panther. So what came out of Aryan was actually Turan. And I want to tell you what actually the Aryan meaning is. It is not Iran or the Iranians, which were thought to be. It is arzhan. That's what I claim now after reading this. So this place must be originally Turanian, but it turned out to be, for some reason, Iranian and Persian. So you see the effect of these two cultures clashing actually into each other. And every culture claims that Scythians were their ancestors. But you have to accept that it is, okay, I'm very positive, that it is half our culture too. We share the same culture. Or we once upon a time shared the same culture. They must accept this. And Scythians, the Kurgans, were first found in Arzhan, okay. When they were the oldest, did I say Scythian? I mean the Scythian Kurgans. So when it was first found in Arzhan, this must mean that it must be the oldest. So I wonder if there were any Kurgans in Iran, because I haven't made a research yet. I'm going to do that, and from that point, I will try to do my analysis. So it says here, it was excavated by M.P. Graznov in the 1970s, establishing the origins of Scythian culture in the region of the 8th and 10th centuries BCE. Arzhan was carbon dated to circa 800 BCE. Further excavations were conducted in 1997 and in 1998-2003. Many of the styles of the artifact, I read that, I'm sorry, soon propagated to the west. Okay, so these kinds of animal images, they were soon propagated to the west, and this was in 1998 until 2003, probably following a migration movement from the east to the west in the 9th and 7th centuries BCE. So from Arzhan, these Turanic people went further west, reaching until Anatolia. That's what I think. I most probably think. Yes. So and also, of course, to the northern steppe, and there they mixed with the other populations. That's why there are so many R1A, R1B genes. That's what I think. So there they mixed with the people, the local people. So probably following immigration, it says, to the west, centuries BCE, and ultimately reaching European Scythia and influencing artistic styles there. Okay, so they spread all over. They spread all over Asia and all over Europe, especially Northern Europe. Okay, you see it here. So this DNA that the Europeans have, it is not from Iran, it is from Turan, it is from our ancestors. So the West either doesn't know or they don't want to know. So this must be clarified. So, antiquity, it says here, okay, Arzhan II, from the 7th to 6th centuries BCE. Now, Arzhan II turned out to be undisturbed burial. So this was an undisturbed burial. The builders created two central pits that were fake graves to throw off looters, and the main burial was 20 meters off center. It was first explored by a joint German and Russian archaeologist. So thank God we do have Germans and Russians and foreign Western archaeologists. So I must say that on one hand, I'm furious because they don't tell the truth, although they know it. And on the other hand, I'm so happy and I'm so glad that there are still some archaeologists like Barry Cunliffe or like, for example, Jules Oppert, who inform us about the truth, right? So anyway, the second, it was first explored by a joint German and Russian archaeological expedition from 2000 to 2004. They found the royal couple, 16 murdered attendants, and 9,300 objects. 5,700 of these artifacts were made of gold, weighing a Siberian record-breaking 20 kilograms. The male, who researchers guess was some sort of king, wore a golden torque, a jacket decorated with 2,500 golden panther figurines, a gold encrusted dagger on a belt, trousers sewn with golden bets, and gold cuffed boots. Now, what is a torque? I'm not sure. Maybe the name Turk also has a resemblance with it. It's spelled with C at the end. So I have to make a research on that. The woman wore a red cloak that was also covered in 2,500 golden panther figurines, as well as a golden hilted iron dagger, a gold comb, and a wooden ladle with a golden handle. The couple was buried together, suggesting that the woman was killed to keep the king company in the afterlife. Yes, I always find these things sad, but ancient people did things like that. The tomb has also had thousands of beds, including over 400 made of Baltic amber. Now, arzhan kurgans were found to be broadly contemporaneous with the early Saka Shilikti kurgans in eastern Kazakhstan. So they were called Shilikti kurgans. Now, if you consider Greeks, why they called the Scythians Shilikti. They couldn't pronounce it. The ancient Greeks couldn't pronounce it. So maybe that's why they, you spell it like Shilikti. So Shilikti kurgans was most probably the name of the tribe, the Scythians. And if I imagine I'm Greek or of ancient Greek origin, and I'm trying to pronounce that, they would say Silitsti. They would say Silitsti or Silikti or Slikti, which would maybe turn into Scythian, something like that. So there is always a kind of erosion when you change something into another word. There is always a loss in the word because of pronunciation, etc. So here are some images given. I'm going to give the link. So the animal style deer found in Tuva, the pectoral plate from burial mound Arzhan, also from Tuva, and the Akinak burial mound Arzhan. Akinak is also Turkish, a Turkish word. So we're going on with Tunuk one. In 2017, the large royal burial mound Tunuk, which dates to the same period as Arzhan, was investigated by a Russian-Swiss expedition. Thank God. Okay. And the significance now. Most probably they are comparing it. Arzhan has been a key element in archaeological evidence that now tends to suggest that the origins of Scythian culture, characterized by its kurgan burial mounds and its animal style of the first millennium BC, are to be found among Eastern Scythians rather than the Western counterparts. So that means rather than Iranians claiming to be the Scythians, the origins are in Eastern Scythia. So there was Western Scythia and Eastern Scythia, and Eastern Scythia is the birthplace of the Turks, the Turanian Scythians, and the Western Scythians. They most probably joined the that is the central herders, the central horse riders. And most probably Turkmenistan and the Turkmen tribes of Iran, what was then Persia. That must have been the case. That's why they claim Saka to be Iranian. So now we must accept that it is mostly Turkic, Turanic, and a little bit Iranic, but not at all wholly Iranian. No, because it doesn't make sense. All those parts in Europe where the Turkic tribes were, they are all Turkish names, and there it says Iranian tribes. I mean, in the map, or Iranian Scythians. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It must be Turan, Iran tribes, if you want to call it like that. So that must, of course, be changed in the maps. So everything must have been rewritten. History must be rewritten. So the Yenisei River. Okay, now I will come to genetics. Animal style, we said, first millennium BC, are to be found among Eastern Scythians rather than their Western counterparts. Now, Eastern Kurgans are older than Western ones, such as the Altaic Kurgan, Arzhan in Tuva, and elements of animal style are first attested in areas of the Yenisei River and modern-day China in the 10th century BC. The rapid spread of Scythian culture from the Eastern Scythians to the West Scythians is also confirmed by significant east-to-west gene flow across the steppes during the first millennium BC. So, nobody can claim that we invaded Asia, or we invaded Iran, or we invaded Anatolia, because they claim to be the Scythians. So if they claim to be Scythians, they accept having mixed with our ancestors. So they must accept this, that we are also the ancestors of the Scythians. Genetics. In 2019, a genetic study of remains of the Adil Bell culture was published in Human Genetics. I have to make research on that, where this, what kind of culture this is. So this must be a Scythian culture. The authors determined the paternal haplogroups of 16 Aldi Bell males. 9 out of 16 samples, that is 56.25%, were found to be carriers of the West Eurasian haplogroup R1A. So the Western haplogroup was R1A, while 7 samples, that means 9 samples were haplogroup R1A, so West Eurasian influence, and 7 samples, 43.75%, belonged to the East Eurasian haplogroups. That means QL54 and NM231. So East Eurasian haplogroups are QLNM. Okay. The authors also analyzed, I think haplogroup N is found in Hungary. I wondered why it's haplogroup N and why not R1A. So if Hungary was mostly Iranian, they must have haplogroup R. But now you see that they have haplogroup N. So it was the East Eurasians who went into Hungary, who mixed with the Hungarians, and who shared cultural they mixed with the Hungarians. I want to add here that I made a friend in Berlin, and she is Hungarian. I don't know, for some reason I warmed up to this girl, and we met again this summer. We went to the Depeche Mode concert, and we met again in the hotel. We took some photos, and we also had photos taken in 2018. So this year we had more photos taken, and we had on one photo you see the resemblance. If you close my eyes, this part, because my eyes and my brows are a little bit downward. Her eyes are not that downward. But if you close my eyes, but only my eyes, and if you take my cheeks and my facial, my round face, and my forehead, and if you compare it with hers, it's the same facial structures. I think we are related. I think Hungarians and East Eurasians are related. But West Eurasians have the gene of the Europeans. Now, I must accept that. But not I don't know how that happened, but most probably in Hungary there were the, I don't know, it must have been before that. So the West Eurasians, they were always living in West Eurasia. I mean, before they mixed. So if they have haplogroup R1A, so that group might have traveled further Europe. If that it is correct. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. So because West Eurasian skin is darker, um, they must have mixed with the European population earlier than the East Eurasians. East Eurasia mixed with the European, with Northern Europeans later. And the West Eurasians, they mixed with the Europeans earlier. So both had a mixture of Europe. So we mixed with Europe. That's the truth, yes. Europe must accept this. Europe must accept this. Okay, now haplogroups. The authors also analyzed the maternal haplogroups of 26 Siberian Scythian remains from Arzhan. 50% of the remains carried an East Eurasian haplogroup, including C, D, F, and G. This is the same haplogroup that we found in Çatalhöyük. C was found, G was found, I think there was also D, but I'm not sure about F. I think there was no F. While 50% carried West Eurasian haplogroups H, U, and T. Okay, in Çatalhöyük there was also a haplogroup U and T and H. So that means that we already mixed 12,000 years ago. Well, it says here that West Eurasian haplogroups, Andrew Collins is right. West Eurasian haplogroups HUT and East Eurasian haplogroups CDFG. So we had already mixed, I mean, before Europe, we had already mixed between these two. As I said, genes are calling you. You're always taking the same routes. You go west, you go north. You go west, you go north. Northwest, west. Northwest, west. It always takes you to the same route. Your ancestors are calling you. So, the most common lineages were variants of haplogroup C4. I don't know what C4 is. I have to, maybe I'm going to have a look what haplogroup C4 is. Wait a minute. What's haplogroup C4? So haplogroup C4 is the Lake Baikal. The Lake Baikal. So it is our haplogroup. It is Turkish haplogroup. Because Baikal, Yakut, we have here the distribution. Dolgans, Yakuts, Evenks, Yakugirs, Koryaks. They are Turkish tribes, indigenous people of the Americas. These are the American Indians, and so on and so on. So, I'm turning back. Okay then. Now I understand why I was so fond of American Indians. Yes. And I'm proud. Tuva, we said genetics, okay. I'm so proud. Scythian DNA, okay. Where was it? Haplogroup C4, okay. Now, significant paternal genetic differences were found between the Eastern Scythians and Scythians of the Pontic-Caspian steppe. So this means that the Eastern Scythians and the Scythians of the Pontic-Caspian steppe are not related from the mother's point of view. So significant paternal genetic differences were found between the Eastern Scythians and the Scythians of the Pontic-Caspian steppe. Okay, so there were those Scythians were different from their DNA. Okay, so in the Black Sea they had a different gene. That's okay. That's what I learned here. I didn't know that. The two groups were of completely different paternal origins, with almost no paternal gene flow between them. On the other hand, there is strong evidence of shared maternal DNA between Scythian cultures, indicating maternal gene flow from East Eurasia to West Eurasia. But we have maternal gene flow from West Eurasia, from East Eurasia to West Eurasia, maternal gene flow. Another analysis of population ancestry suggested that Aldibel Scythians were of roughly 60% West Eurasian ancestry and 40% East Eurasian ancestry. Now this means that the Adibel Scythians had 60% West Eurasian ancestry. So we, okay, and 40% East Eurasian ancestry. So we are more West Eurasian than East Eurasian, than 60% West Eurasian, 40% East Eurasian. Okay, yes, that's it actually. I have to make a research on that. So now I understand why there is this dispute, because there were two Scythian groups. One Scythian group was from the east, that is the Turanic tribes, and the other Scythians, they came from the west. These were the Iranic tribes. But they had, of course, interchanged and intermixed within each other. They shared the same. I mean, almost half of the gene was West and half of the gene was Eastern Eurasian. Okay, so it is a shared culture, and we must tell this the West. It is not only Iranian, it is Turanian as well. Thank you.